Okay, this is going to be our next assignment. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to have you draw a texture. So I got 3 pictures you can choose from. You can do this raccoon, or this sort of angry lemur, or you can do this owl. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take the picture and you're going to cut it in half. So for example, I can cut it in half vertically this way, or I can do it horizontally, or I could even do it diagonally if I want. I'm going to do vertically because I'm right-handed and I want to work on this side of it. So what I'm going to do is I'll take it to the paper cutter and cut it in half, and I just already did this to this one. I cut that in half, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape this other piece down here. So I'll put some tape here, and I'll put some tape on the bottom here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the remaining part of the owl and add the values and the textures. So what I can do is this. When I'm drawing, I can kind of, I wouldn't call it cheating, but I can, to locate things. For example, if this is the edge of his nose, I'll just kind of hover my pencil over the paper, and then I'll take it out. So I know the edge of his nose is there, and I can see where it is right there, and I can see this part right here. That way when I start drawing things, I kind of know the general spot. So I'll use my number 2 pencil to sort of draw the objects, or the main located items in there. Now, this part here, he's got this furry sort of muff or nose or nuzzle or whatever you want to call it, and it starts about here. So I'm going to just kind of draw that in this area. Now it's furry, it doesn't have a line around it, but I kind of want to know where that fur sort of ends, so I do that. So I'm going to locate the eye. The eye's right here. I hold my pencil there, take this away, and now I'm going to draw that eye. So I'll draw the oval of the eye. Okay, about there. I'll check the other eye and say, is that too big? Mine's a little bit big. I'll make it a little bit smaller, and so on. Okay, the ear's way up over here, and there's the tip of the ear, and maybe I do this part where the ear sort of meets the head right there, and then another part down here. That's where the ear. So I'm going to draw that ear. Now, you don't have to perfect, but get it pretty close. So there's sort of the ear. The top of his head is kind of here, and the side of his head comes about to this area. So there's kind of the side of my raccoon's head. Now, one thing with the whiskers, don't worry about the whiskers. I'll show you what to do later. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start laying the values down first. Now, I've got something that I like to use. I call it my value analyzer, and all it is a piece of paper. And if I punch a hole in that piece of paper, okay, and I look through the hole, I can see how dark something is. Like, for example, at the center of the eye, it's really dark, okay? I mean, look at that, it's really dark. But then up here, I can see that's really white. It's very light, very close to the paper. In some areas like here, it's kind of a gray. So you can kind of estimate, because a lot of times kids will start this and they'll just go, oh, a raccoon's got a black mask, and we'll just start filling this in. But you can see that mask is more of a gray. Actually, the eye, it looks on the paper like it's black, but it's not quite black. It's really dark up in here. Then what you're going to do is you're going to start with your ebony pencil, and you're going to start adding the values. So I'm going to do that right now, and then I'll show you a little bit more what I'm going to do in a bit. All right, I'm going to stop and do a comparison right now. And when I look at my drawing, I can see that this part of the raccoon is really pretty dark around the eye. And so is this here. I don't think my area is dark enough. So I'm going to go with a sharp pencil, and I'm going to just keep going over this. And when I go over it, I'm going to go in the direction of the strokes, which makes sense, because you know the fur on the raccoon, it goes away from his nose. Like most animals, like dogs and cats, the fur's kind of going in a direction away from the nose. Look how dark it is right up in here. I can see that I need to make this quite a bit darker up in that area if I'm going to match the value. So what you're really doing is really concentrating on getting these values correct, okay? I think his eyes should be darker. So I'm going to make this eye a little bit darker. And every once in a while, you may need to sharpen your pencil, okay? And I like to use the sandpaper and just sharpen that and get that tip really sharp, you know, and then just blow the excess off. So when I'm doing edges, like on the edge of the eye, I can make that edge really sharp and precise because I got a really sharp pencil. There's a little dot in the middle of the eye. I'm going to make sure that little dot pops out. And the reason it's going to pop out is because it's going to be so much darker around that dot. That's that little reflective area, just like this reflective area that's up here, okay? He's pretty white around this part of the eye. You can see that there. But then it gets quite a bit darker up in here. So I'm going to get darker up in there, and I'm adding more value. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going to add these values. Now the last thing is that texture. So I've got a really sharp pencil here. And what I'm going to start doing, you can notice like it's not just solid white here. There's some strokes coming across there. So I'm going to show some of those strokes with my sharp tip kind of coming across some of that white area. And then I might put some more strokes up in here. Because up in his fur, it's almost like salt and pepper. You know, you got some areas that are a little lighter. You got some areas that are a little darker, little dark strokes mixed in with some light strokes. So basically, I lay my values down first, and then I start adding strokes over the top of those values to get that sort of look. If you notice the top of his head, he doesn't have a sharp top of his head, so that's where I'll bring the background into the top of his head. So I have these little white hairs that are leading out into the top of the raccoon there, okay? Now, last thing, some areas, now the raccoon, if I was really doing this correctly, what I would do is I'd leave a space to draw those whiskers in. But you know what? That's going to take me a month and a half, so I'm not going to leave a space. I'm going to put the whiskers in black because it's easier to do with my pencil. Now, if I was using paint, well, that'd be easy. I'd come in with a white brush. Or if I was using charcoal, I'd use a white charcoal pencil to show those whiskers. That would be easy. And, you know, some artists might do that. They might put a line like this and then leave another white line and then fill the area around it, and they'd leave that white line. Obviously, it's pretty hard to do that, and it's going to take a lot of time. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to add those whiskers later after the whole thing is done, and I'm going to put them in kind of lightly in black. So you get the idea? So what we're doing here is you've got the option of the raccoon, the owl, or the lemur. You're going to draw half of it in your sketchbook. I want it to be fantastic. And by fantastic, the values have to match. The texture has to match. The detail has to match, okay? Obviously, I need a lot more work on this, but I think you get the idea. So that's what we're doing today. You're going to choose this, do it in your sketchbook, and that'll be worth 35 points. Okay, bye.